On this week's Most Craved.
We've got a new Star Trek trailer.
The Night He Came Home has a new house.
And Memorial Day movies. Hey guys, welcome to Most Craved. I'm Jenna Busch with Legion of Leia.
I'm Silas Lesnick with ComingSoon.net.
And I'm William Bibbiani with CraveOnline. Hi.
We, last Friday, there was a Star Trek fan event on the Paramount Pictures lot. They kept it largely secret. It was great. It was really fun.
Much fun.
I didn't go. You guys have to. I am in the audience's boat here. What was it like? What did they do?
I mean, they said nothing about it. They said they were going to launch the new trailer. They ended up setting up a replica of, I mean, not quite a replica of the bridge, but a bridge-like structure on Stage 31, which is where the original series was actually shot on the Paramount lot. They had a really nice tribute to the franchise. They had actors come and do a Q&A. And then they took everybody outside where they dedicated one of the streets at Paramount to Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, his whole family was there. It was so cool.
That's fantastic.
And then they brought everyone in, showed the trailer. They showed a couple extra scenes, and then they opened up a curtain, and there was a big party with a lot of props and costumes on display. It was a really neat event.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
and we had no idea. I knew there was going to be a Q&A and that we were going to see the trailer, and that's pretty much it.
Well, we talked about the first trailer, and we talked about how it seemed like Paramount was really going for, trust us, guys, it's got a lot of action. There'll be motorcycles jumping on things in the future.
It is interesting. Ninja Turtles and Star Trek are both Paramount movies with Beastie Boys soundtracks.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, wow. Never thought of that.
I guess they have a vested interest in the future of the Beastie Boys. Anyway, that trailer made a lot of Star Trek fans go, huh? What do you guys think of the new trailer? Because I'm not entirely convinced it's changed that dynamic very much.
Well, you know, it's interesting because what we saw the trailer and then we saw footage. So the trailer is still a lot of action, but the footage we saw, there were definitely some quiet moments. There was a scene between Bones and Kirk where they're talking about his dad and why he's in Starfleet and all of that. And so,
We heard some of that in the trailer.
Yeah, but it was extended what we saw. So
It looks like the central plot of the film is Kirk is 3 years into a 5-year mission, and he's not sure why he joined Starfleet. He's wondering if he did it because his dad wanted him to. I mean, he says in the trailer, I did it on a bet. But he's sort of, it's one of those things where it's like, am I working for myself or am I working for the company?
Yeah.
And then you have a villain who says, well, I hate your company, I'm going to destroy you all. So all of a sudden, they have to fight for whatever it is they believe in, which they need to figure out. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
It is interesting. It's interesting to me that the newer Star Trek movies, Star Trek, Into Darkness, Star Trek Beyond now, apparently, they seem to think that really it's all about Kirk. They're all Kirk's journey, more or less. Into Darkness more with Spock as well, but he's always the focus. And one of the things I liked about the old series and the movies was that there was very much an ensemble dynamic. And it just feels like, for example, Zoe Saldana has like one quick subplot in Into Darkness, and then she's over by the time she talks Klingon.
yeah, there wasn't enough of her. But I think this time, like what the crew, it isn't going to be quite as much as an ensemble because the crew is split up. But it will be interesting to see Bones and Spock together. I think that's going to be a really interesting pairing. They actually had Carl Urban was there and Zachary Quinto, so they actually talked about that and about their dynamic and how cool that was.
Well, I hope for the best.
I had two very minor quibbles with the stuff that was shown. The first is that they said Saurian brandy was illegal, which is like, well, Romulan ale is illegal. Maybe in this alternate timeline, for some reason, there was a trade dispute. I don't know. The other one...
do we know for a fact it wasn't illegal previously?
Saurian brandy? No, they drank it all the time.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was that weird shaped bottle that Kirk always had. The
right.
other one is a little more important. There's a scene where Kirk is narrating, and it's a great scene. It's him talking about how life has become, he jokes, episodic. He opens a closet and it's all the same gold tunic.
Smurfette.
Yeah.
But he walks through the hallways and he says that like the crew is sort of getting restless, and you see these like 3 crew members eye a woman, and then he passes a couple making out, and then there's like a guy getting kicked out of a woman's quarters. It's 3 heterosexual relationships in a row at a point where Star Trek, which has always been a forward-thinking franchise, still has not had a gay character.
Yeah.
And
interesting.
that's a place to insert it and just move on. Like, there's no reason not to.
Let me ask you this. Were they all human relationships?
One was an alien.
Okay, well,
But
there's that. For all we know, maybe you're being judgmental about what an alien sexual
Yeah.
it being is. I don't know. You're right. It's weird. I mean, Gene Roddenberry was always very, very progressive, and he had a Russian character on television back when everyone was being told they had to hate Russia. He put the first was it the first interracial kiss? It was the first. Okay, on TV.
He wanted to have a gay character.
Yeah.
I just did an interview with his son about this, about how he pushed the envelope any way he could, and I think that's a really important thing to keep going throughout the franchise.
Well, we're expanding beyond the movies. The movies only have so much time. Maybe we'll be able to see some more of that in Brian Fuller's
the new
series. That'd be great.
We've even seen it metaphorically
Right.
in episodes of the series. It's at a point where it's no longer even progressive to do so. It's just it's something you should have done a long time ago. And in the case of Star Trek, especially so.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, there are 50 alien species to celebrate the 50 years of Star Trek. It's my fun fact.
Yeah, there's going to be 50 brand new alien races.
Oh, brand
in the
new
movie.
alien
Yeah.
races. I thought they had way more than that by now.
No,
Okay, yeah.
sorry.
That works. Good for them. That's so cool. Well, how do you guys feel about the Halloween announcement?
I think it might be fun.
Okay. I'm not sensing a lot of passion.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say it. Halloween was not ever my favorite horror movie, so.
Okay. Halloween, obviously, it's one of the bigger slasher franchises. The first Halloween is considered one of the great classics of the horror genre. And the rights to the series lapsed late last year. And no one knew where they were going to end up, what was happening. And then they announced on Monday that Miramax and Blumhouse, people behind the Paranormal Activity movies, the Sinister movies, etc., they are teaming up to do the next Halloween. And that John Carpenter, the creator of the series, was going to be back to executive produce. He might even do the score. But what they didn't say is who's going to be directing it, or even whether it's a remake, a reboot, a reimagining. Does it take place in the same continuity? Because they don't know yet. They only just got it, and they're just sort of celebrating right now. Look what we got, which is cool. But the thing with the Halloween movies is that most of them aren't very good.
Well, I think I just saw the first one way too young. So,
Oh, really?
Oh, my God. Yes, I should not have watched it when I watched it. It just messed me up.
If you watch the franchise, you can see that the franchise is constantly trying to recreate itself. Halloween 2 introduced all of that backstory about Jamie Lee Curtis being Michael Myers' sister. Halloween 3 tried to go off in a completely new direction. No one cared at the time. Halloween 4 tried to right the ship, but it had a cliffhanger ending that 5 completely ignored. 5 added psychic stuff. 6 added a cult that was apparently behind the whole thing all along. 7 tried to ignore everything. And 8 was about a online reality TV show. And Busta Rhymes kicked Michael Myers' butt.
Sure.
And then Rob Zombie got to it, and so I think everyone kind of wants this to be great, but there actually doesn't have a long history of being great.
No, but I think just the fact that John Carpenter's involved is at least really, really exciting.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, you and I both know Ryan Turek, who's now director of development. He used to be the editor of Shock Till You Drop, and now
I used to do videos with him reviewing horror movies.
And he's the director of development at Blumhouse. So
That is really
in
cool.
that sense, I couldn't be happier for that. I
Yeah.
think that having a fan as dedicated as him to the franchise connected like that is
Oh,
great.
yeah. If he has his hands on it, I'm sure something good will come out
Well,
of it.
we're hoping anyway, but bad movies get made.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, and everyone, they say that no one's trying to make a bad movie. And obviously, I want this to be good. I want another good Halloween. Who wouldn't? There's only 3 of them I even like.
But I have a thing where even when a franchise consists of movies that individually I don't like, I love the franchise as a whole, and I feel like just the idea of having John Carpenter there is almost. I mean, the expectations are low, just because we've seen a lot of bad sequels, and even if it's just a decent Halloween with John Carpenter involved, if he's making new music for it, that in and of
that's
itself
pretty
is really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
I want to be excited. I need a little bit more information before I'll get excited about what it's going to be, but I'm glad the franchise is alive, kicking. It's with people who obviously care about it, and hopefully it will be great.
If I go see it, someone's got to hold my hand.
Okay.
Okay. So this is Memorial Day weekend coming up.
Yes.
And there's some big movies opening. We got Alice Through the Looking Glass and X-Men Apocalypse.
Which are basically the same film if you think about it.
They're what? Are they?
I was kind of surprised at how Alice, in a weird way, reminded me of Civil War, because you have Alice. She doesn't want to sign this contract that would sort of sign over her rights, and goes on this adventure to help an old friend from her past but comes into conflict with this guy who has a big circle like timepiece in his chest, who tells her, "You fundamentally can't do this. You just can't."
There's a few distinct differences, I think. But yes, all those things are true. I think the thing it's weird. The first Alice in Wonderland, the Tim Burton one, it was huge. It made over $1 billion. Like, holy crap. Like, people forget that because no one claims to like it terribly much. Like, the critics hated it and it doesn't have a huge cult following, but it made tons of money.
Yeah.
And this one, which I've seen and frankly I don't like, I don't think it's a particularly good movie. It probably will make more. I don't know. I don't even know anymore.
I don't think it's going to come close to the box office of the first. The first one largely was because after Avatar came out, a lot of people just wanted to see a 3D movie on the big screen because they liked the Avatar experience. I had fun with this, and I wound up rewatching the first one, which I never liked, and I have to admit it's aged pretty well.
I rewatched it recently, and it really has.
And it's sort of, I mean, at the time when it came out, I looked at the CGI-ness of it, which is still certainly there.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it looked like, it's just CGI. And I think with the distance of technology, watching it now, it's sort of, well, these are like, they're stylized. They're meant to look sort of cartoonish, and it's aged remarkably well in that sense. It doesn't look like bad CGI.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also, Alan Rickman's voices in this.
Yeah, but real briefly though.
I know, but still.
I don't want everyone to get super excited about it and then realize he only has a few lines.
He does,
but he's great.
There's also like I don't love the first one, but the first one does have a interesting, like, powerful female character coming into her own, and I like the conflict of once you've come into your own, how do you then look at other people in your life and help them?
Yeah, and I talked to one of the producers of the film, and she was talking about how important having this strong female character was, and about her journey, and about just the time period that she's in, and how she has to struggle with that, because she's a sea captain. She's done something that most women don't do in
the
that
opening
time.
scene makes her sea captaining seem so silly.
Yes,
to me.
and she's wearing an interesting outfit.
She's wearing a great outfit. Listen, I admire the intent behind it. Obviously, there's some good themes being explored. For me, it's the whole plot makes no sense from the first get-go. Like, if you watch it, it completely falls.
But it's on a druggy book.
But the druggy book was all about logic. Yeah. The druggy book is about the fallacy of logic taken to its unnatural extreme. Right. Here, it just feels like no one thought it out. And it's really, really frustrating for me.
I talked with James Bobin about it, and he was there were sort of things that I didn't even think, which is it's a time travel movie.
Yeah.
Sure.
But how do you do time travel in a world where there's no history? And if you go to a certain period, what makes that earlier or later?
The Hatter wore a different hat.
I feel like that really didn't get explored as well as maybe you did.
Yeah.
But anyway, X-Men Apocalypse.
X-Men Apocalypse, yeah.
Fast.
So we've got Sophie Turner in it from Game of Thrones, who I love, and whose American accent is just awesome.
She's okay.
I thought she's great.
This is a movie that is trying to tie in the last couple of like X-Men prequels, Days of Future Past, First Class, but also introducing the X-Men that we kind of know and love, Cyclops, Jean Grey as younger versions, and all of the young X-Men stuff works pretty well. Everything else clunked for me.
Yeah, not enough Storm. There's never
enough Storm, not enough Psylocke.
And a great casting for Storm. I think there was enough Psylocke, but great casting for Storm, and I wanted to see more.
She was fantastic.
So
I
good,
really liked her. I liked the movie as a whole. I like the Star Trek bit.
Yeah,
to take it back to Star Trek. There's scenes from Who Mourns for Adonis, which is an early Star Trek episode, playing in the background, and we got a Star Trek episode in the last film.
Yeah.
It's something I really liked, and I also think it's the one problem with Bryan Singer is that he is like very reverent of what has come before, and there's certain things that he plays back to that are, as an auteur director, I like that it's a Bryan Singer movie, but as an X-Men movie, I'm ready to
branch out,
change it up.
Yeah.
Since the first film, they've been promising us that the next film will be the X-Men film we always wanted. I am sick of that promise at the end of every X-Men movie, and we're getting it all the time.
I know, and I have to say though, like if I didn't need Apocalypse. I just wanted to see what happened in Xavier's school. Maybe that's because I really like the animated series from the 90s.
There is, and I think it's a good thing to leave a movie wanting more. Like, I think that's a positive thing. But there's a sequence that we've seen stills from that's a mall sequence where all the characters go to the mall. And in a weird way, I would much rather just watch a movie with mutants at the mall in the 1980s than anything to do with ending the world. Or,
Yeah.
The X-Men movies are so plot-centric, and all we really want is for the characters to interact, and they never seem to have the time to do it.
TV series.
TV series might work. It would be very, very exciting for me. But like, yeah, they're really focused on the plot, and the plot this time is really traditional supervillain wants to destroy the world stuff, and it really kind of dumps it down a little bit. And maybe you're gonna like it. Maybe it's big and fun, but it didn't work for me.
And there were some issues with metal in the movie.
There's some serious plot holes in this movie, but in any case, what are you seeing this weekend? X-Men, Alice, etc. What did you think of Star Trek? And what do you think about the new Halloween thing? We'll be back. Twitter, most Craved.
See you next week.